Almost 2 million people are brought before England's criminal courts every year.
The drugs that were found up in the loft were not yours. Your fingerprints won't be on them, will they? Absolutely not.
No.
OK.
More than half of them are legally aided, their lawyers paid by the taxpayer.
He did spit in my face, so I spat in his face.
Britain's busiest legal aid practice is Tucker's. They handle thousands of these cases every year. We've spent 12 months filming with them, gaining access to the privileged relationship between lawyer and client.
Were you, like, interested in him romantically or what?
No, I certainly wasn't interested in him romantically in that, you know, there's a great difference in age between us for a start.
If you did plead not guilty, I don't think you'd win it, simply because of the fact that you've got 22 previous convictions for burglary.
At a time when the legal system's under increasing scrutiny, this is how justice really works.
I just wanted to go out for a beer. The courts, what the judge said.
Don't like speak anymore, because it's not a private conversation for you there, because they can hear what you're saying. Alex Templar is one of our clients. He's been arrested at 7 o'clock last night. It's now 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a burglary. Just sit tight. I can rest assured that I am on the case, okay? And I suspect that you'll be interviewed within the next hour. So just sit tight and don't do anything silly, and don't be interviewed without us, right? Promise me.
Shab Aslam is the lawyer sent to help Alex Templar.
We get told very little before we go out to a job. The basics, really. It's a burglary. I think we're aware it's a non-dwelling burglary, which basically means it's not a house. It's possibly commercial premises or a garage or something like that.
Unusually, a camera's being allowed in to film the client interview. Shab gets the details of the burglary from the police. His client has been arrested in an office block.
Hi, Alex.
Within your client's rucksack, the police have found 2 laptops which are believed to have been stolen from one or both of the premises. In addition to this, you're believed to have been identified as entering Salford University campus at approximately 3 o'clock on the same day. A report's been received that a mobile phone has been stolen around that time from one of the buildings.
I'm not getting bail out of here, am I?
It's not looking good at the moment. It's not looking good, because I know you've got quite an extensive record with the police, haven't you, for similar type of offences.
If you did plead not guilty, I don't think you'd win it, simply because of the fact that you've got 22 previous convictions for burglary.
Alex offers Shab an explanation for his predicament.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to tell you something between me and you.
Okay.
Right? I don't know if it. Okay. Here's what it is.
Yeah.
Tell me which way do you think we should go?
Okay.
Okay. Here's what happened now. I went and I took a loan out from a loan shark. This is a mistake I made, right? See? He's giving me a £300 loan. I'm supposed to pay him back on that loan every week. Yesterday now, right, see, right? I've called him, right, see, right? The day before I've called him, and I've gone, and he says, come on down, let's have a beer really nicey, right? I didn't think nothing of it, right? You know what I mean? Because I told him, right? He says, right, when I got there, he says, what, you take me f***ing mug, right? You think you could take my money and not pay me my money, right? Him and his cousin were there, right? See? And it's like they grabbed me, they pushed me up next to the wall. He says, Senor, you better pay me up my f***ing money or else I'm going to slice your throat. And this is why I was up between a rock and a hard place. I just had to do it, man.
Okay.
Shab knows he's in for a long night in Longsight.
Good morning, Tuckers.
Criminal legal aid costs the taxpayer £1 billion every year. Tucker's handles more of these cases than anyone else.
Why are you not coming to Manchester?
Right, is that definite? Because Sophia was her who...
So, common assault.
Oh, you see her as well?
Franklin Sinclair runs the Manchester office.
Everybody on the face of it is against our client. The police are against him. He feels the court's against him. The prosecutor's against him. He thinks the judge is against him. So we're the only friend. we're there to support them, we're there to explain everything to them, and we're there to help them as best as we can. And so we have to make them feel like we're on their side. Just read a file of a client we're going to see, Vera Kennedy and her daughter, Joanne Hume, both charged with possession of a very large amount of amphetamine with intent to supply it. She's regular in that when she gets into trouble, she always asks for us. She's normally in court with her husband, and she did appear in court with her husband last year, and he got sent to prison for supplying drugs. She got a suspended sentence, and of course, now, if she's found guilty of this new allegation, she's in breach of a suspended sentence. And she's the oldest drug dealer in town. Smile, you're on candid camera.
Nice and slim you are.
Well, I'm not bad. Not bad. You knew me when I was a lot fatter, didn't you?
No, you weren't fat.
Oh, I was. I was quite chubby. In the 90s, when I started dealing with you.
Vera's husband, Terry, has just been released from jail. But now Vera's in big trouble.
Now, this is the most serious position we've ever had you in. 8 months prison sentence, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Suspended. And if you're convicted of this, you're in breach of it. I mean, how's your health at the moment?
Still fair, it's not good.
Not good.
No.
We got a lot of medical reports last time, didn't we?
Yeah.
This time, the judge may say, well, we heard that last time,
Yeah,
and we can treat her in jail.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, you know, they may do. But jail would be tough for you. You're 63, aren't you?
Yeah.
Jeez. What you need to know is this. The police came, they searched the property, and there's lots of powder in different places, right? All over, literally. There's stuff in the kitchen.
I'm not bothered about that.
Pardon? I know you're not bothered about that.
No,
There's
they
stuff in...
weren't.
No, they're not. But the key thing is, in the loft is 3 containers of white powder. And that white powder is, first of all, substantial, and secondly, it's quite a high purity, and they're valuing it at £28,000. And we had scales, obviously, as well, with traces of caffeine and a clear Tupperware box that had about £1,000's worth in. That was in the freezer. Tupperware box in the freezer. We go to the police station, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shab advises you to make no comment and say nothing, but you don't, do you?
I don't make no
No,
comment.
you have. You've made plenty of comments. You said, first of all, it's both of ours, and then you said, no, it's just mine. You were then asked about the money, and you said it was rebates from council tax and rent that you got. And then you were asked about the recovered drugs from the loft area, and you said it was amphetamine that was yours for your own personal use. You said it had been up there for about 6 months. It was in the loft to keep it cool. And it says here, she stated that she was physically able to get into the loft. It's a typing error, isn't it?
I did say I couldn't get up that.
Oh, did you say you can't?
Yeah.
No, but you
I'm
can't
not proud of
have
her.
you tried?
I haven't been up there ever.
No, you couldn't get up there, could you?
No chance.
I think what we'll do is, after the committal, we'll get you in the office and we'll discuss some options.
So
now that you're out,
there's a lot they can do to me, anyway. If they say,
there's nothing they can do to you.
Can't do it.
There's nothing they can do to you. No, there's nothing to do. You've done your time.
Yeah, we'll come across that.
You've done your time, and this was discovered whilst you were serving a prison sentence.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll have you in tune this year as soon as you can breathe. You need a bit of sun. That's what you need.
I know.
I know. So do I.
I've got that prison time on.
I know. So do I. Tell you, no, I don't like it.
Catch me again.
All right, all the best, Terence.
See you in a bit.
Take care. See you.
The victims of crime in Manchester include 2 famous faces, Wayne Rooney and his wife, Colleen. It all started when Colleen went to a concert at the Manchester Arena. Her camera went missing, and with it, hundreds of private family photos.
I'll buy or sell tickets.
The crime generated huge publicity. 3 people are now charged with demanding £5,000 for the return of the pictures. One of them is a Tucker's client, Stephen Malcolm. Ian Johnston is his lawyer. He's one of the firm's most experienced advocates. His assistant is Lisa Payton.
The situation is, if you take into account the whole of the circumstances, it does amount to blackmail.
Ian and Lisa are about to meet their client to advise him whether he should plead guilty or not guilty.
What do you think you should do?
It's one of those ones which could literally boil down to
say it down
who likes Wayne Rooney and who doesn't.
You know all of your own, love?
Oh, Lisa, all right.
I am fine. How are you, darling?
Super.
Stephen Malcolm's a 42-year-old handyman with a history of petty crime. But he's adamant that it was his boss who'd got hold of the Rooney pictures and dreamt up the blackmail plot.
So he'd borrowed your phone once or twice. Yeah. Started when you got your phone back, and that's the first time you had any involvement in it, and you didn't know what was going on then. And then it was
Thursday afternoon. So I finished work around about 5 o'clock Thursday. Goes to the local pub, have a few drinks, goes home, started making tea. It's around about 8 o'clock, something like that. And next minute, gets a phone call. Don't know who it is. And that's how it started.
Stephen says his mobile phone had been used by his boss, Lee Platt, to start the blackmail negotiations. He went along with it because he was tipsy.
So I phoned Lee up. Lee, this guy's on the phone, don't know who he is, what's going on here? All right, yeah, tell him, yeah, I've got these images, and I want £5 for it. So next minute, I hangs up. This guy brings me back. Oh, blah, 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 yeah. My boss says he wants £5, simple as. Right, okay then, I'll meet you down at the man at the hotel at 2:30 the next day.
Steve, why didn't you, at any stage in those phone calls, say, listen mate, got nothing to do with me, you best speaking to my boss and use his number and give him Lee's number for him to then ring direct?
I never thought about it at the time. I don't know.
But then why then agree to sort of like be a party to the delivery on a Saturday?
But you got to understand, right? I work for him, right? He assures me you're not going to get arrested. It's a gentleman's agreement. It's all above board. And this and that. That's what I'm thinking. Well, okay. So that particular day, I hadn't got a care in the will.
It was when Stephen delivered the images to the Marriott Hotel the following day that he was arrested by undercover police.
It doesn't matter what you say about the negative sort of side of it. I'm pleading not guilty anyway.
No, I know you will. We're duty bound, and we have to tell you, Stephen, that if you was to plead guilty, you get your credit for that guilty plea.
Yeah.
I can't say that it would definitely mean you staying out as opposed to going to prison, but there is a possibility that it could make that difference.
We can say to the judge, without prejudice, Judge, our client's pleading not guilty at the moment, but he would like to know, with respect, what is the worst you would do if he pleaded guilty?
It'd be nice if you ask him.
Yeah.
Right.
And see where we go from there.
At Longsight Police Station, Shab Aslam is still dealing with Alex Templar, arrested for burglary. Alex is desperate to get out of the police station on bail, but he's forgotten the phone numbers of 2 people who might help him. What happens next is a shock for Shab.
I'm going to give you the 2 people's names. Yeah. You know what? Do something. I don't know if I should be doing this.
Go on.
Right? I've got a phone, but it's my phone. It's not no stolen phone.
Right.
I don't know if you want to show this on this.
No, I don't think you should show it, Alex, but tell me, go on.
Right? Okay, there's 2 people I'd like you to call, right? See, I got their numbers on the thing, right? That's why I'm going to have to pull it out, right? One of them, right, is Sarah. I don't know if you should be showing that on camera, you know. You know what? I don't really want to go back in there with it.
You can't give it to me, Alex.
What else am I going to do?
Alex, you do know that you can get into a lot of trouble for having that phone.
Yeah, well, that's too bad. That's too bad. That's too bad, you know what I mean?
Did you just have it in your pocket and then didn't find it?
I just didn't find it. This is my phone. See that?
Prisoners in custody are forbidden to have a phone.
It puts us in a difficult position. We've got to advise him to hand the phone over to the police, otherwise we'd be party to him possibly perverting the course of justice. So we have to be quite straightforward and say, look, Alex, it's not... You have to hand that over to the police, because if you get arrested with that, or they find it later on and you're making phone calls from inside your cell, you're going to be in a lot more trouble than you're in at the moment.
Alex Templar handed in the phone. He eventually pleads guilty to burglary and receives a 12 months prison sentence. 90% of all Tucker's business comes from their returning clients.
The clientele's very mixed. There's the kind of sad, drug-addicted ones, there's the alcoholic ones, there's ones with mental problems, and then there are people who, I suppose, you could say have a bit of an attitude and are easily disturbed, quite volatile.
Monday morning, the lawyers who cover the police stations have been summoned to the office.
Right, guys, thanks for coming. A bit of an impromptu meeting. Obviously, I'll let you all know on Friday that I wanted you to come in. Essentially, just to put everybody at ease, nobody's losing the job. Okay? No one's getting a bollocking.
Tucker's earned £10 million in legal aid last year, but the government is cutting these fees, so law firms need to bring in even more clients. Each police station client brings the firm £180. The fees mount up if the case goes to court.
Times are really, really hard at the moment. Obviously, I'm on the marketing team, as you know, and I also go to a lot of the management meetings. We need more quantity, okay? We need shoplifters, we need repeat offenders. The thing is, we can do all the marketing in the world and we can write to clients and we can have these gizmos and gadgets. When we've got someone at the police station, we need to keep them. Yeah. You know, that is a fixed fee. That is a client. That's someone that's going to have a Mags case and a Crown case. And so when we've got them, we need to be concentrating on the ones we've actually got, because they're the ones that are at least asking for us. Get loads of clients. Get loads of co-accused.
In the Rooney blackmail case, it's time for Stephen Malcolm to make his plea. He's been waiting to see if the judge is likely to give a reduced sentence for a guilty plea. But the judge doesn't say. So his lawyer tries to strike a deal with the prosecution. But Stephen gets angry with this plea bargaining process and goes off to the pub. Ian tracks him down.
Right, they've decided that they will accept our basis of plea, and we've persuaded them to drop the handling charge as well, so bring it down to one count on the basis that you were just acting as an employee, but you have been actively involved to a degree where you've crossed the line, basically. So where are you at the moment? Calm down now. I don't think he's got the power, the willpower to control that behaviour. And if he kicked off like that in front of a jury, it wouldn't go down very well.
Stephen finally leaves the pub and returns to court.
All I wanted to do was just go for a bail. I went with my mate, yeah, just went for a bail. The courts, what the judge said, yeah, I just wanted to go out. I even bought headache tablets because I was stressed out. Do you know what I mean? I've took 4 of them at the minute, and I've got to go back in here and see what my outcome is.
His boss, who Stephen blames for the blackmail plot, pleads guilty. The court then asks Stephen Malcolm how he pleads. His lawyer's advice had been to plead guilty and avoid a trial. But it's not what happens.
In my mind, I just wanted to plead not guilty all the way. Because I know what happened on the events. And why, I mean, all right, for a lesser sentence and plead guilty, in my eyes, why should I?
So Stephen Malcolm will face a full trial for blackmailing Colleen Rooney. It's Christmas in Manchester. At Strangeways Prison, Gary Cox has spent 4 days on remand. He's an accountant. He's also a convicted sex offender, and he's now charged with harassing his former victim. Tuckers have just managed to get him bail.
Wasn't aware that anything was happening behind the scenes, but just very grateful that it's happened and that I've managed to get bail. I don't live in the Manchester area, so and I need to stay away from this area and need to stay at my parents' house as a condition of my bail every night.
Three weeks after Christmas, trainee lawyer Jonathan Enston is off to see Gary Cox. 2 years ago, Gary got a community order for sexually assaulting a young man and was later convicted of harassing him. He now faces a fresh charge of harassing the same man.
Were you, like, interested in him romantically or what?
No, I certainly wasn't interested in him romantically in that, you know, there's a great difference in age between us for a start.
So how old is he? 'Cause I know
he's 20 now.
20 now.
So
at the time he was 18?
Yeah, 18. So there was clearly quite a difference in age between us that
sure.
obviously I was very aware of. And so, you know, even if I was interested, it was a non-starter because of the age difference. He's very good looking, he's very intelligent, he's very confident. You know, he could basically have a relationship with whoever he wanted.
Gary's accused of following the young man one night at Salford Quays. Gary says he was actually there to gather evidence to appeal against his previous conviction for harassment. He says he then decided to hang around that area to feed the ducks.
So tell me about feeding the ducks. Tell me, I know it sounds
so ridiculous.
Quackers, isn't it?
Absolutely, I couldn't put it better myself. When I used to live in Manchester, I had occasionally gone to the Salford Quays area and knew there were a load of geese and whatever that winter there. So, you know, I had fed them there before. So, you know, I thought while I was in the area, I'd walk down and there were usually a few ducks and geese around and there were loads and loads, dozens of them this night. So, so I was down there feeding them for quite some time. And obviously,
and you didn't see anyone?
I saw one or two people walk past, but, you know, didn't pay any attention to them.
Mm-hmm.
Too busy. I was just feeding the ducks, to be honest.
Jonathan heads off to Salford Quays. He's checking out statements made by the prosecution witnesses.
And as we crossed the footbridge between the Water Sports Centre and the Beefeater, I noticed Gary to my left. He was on the left side of a smaller canal bank, which I presume is just down there. Prosecution's version of events is that comes from the victim and his brother, is that they're walking this way. So I know I'm walking backwards now, but obviously walking forwards, having come from the Lowry Theatre. Gary's informed me, and this is why he wants me to come here today, is that he was actually over there by the Holiday Inn feeding the ducks. It's all about undermining the credibility of the witnesses, and that's something that has definitely been improved by coming down today and taking photos.
There's a week to go before the start of the Rooney blackmail trial. Lawyer Ian Johnston has had a car accident and broken his leg. He's hobbled into the office for a pre-trial meeting with his client, but there's no sign of Stephen Malcolm.
Hi Chuck, what are we going to do about Mr. Malcolm's no-show? Still not here now. I'll give him till 3. Has he got the current mobile? Permanently switched off and he's not updated us. Okie dokie. Some people don't seem to care at all about their fate. If it was me, I'd be at my solicitor's office every day going, what's new, what can we go through, how can we attack this? But obviously, that's me. Not everybody is as bothered.
Friday prayers in a Rochdale mosque. Among the crowd is one of Tucker's busiest lawyers, Asim Ali.
I go there because it's a sense of community, see people that I wouldn't ordinarily see. Clearly, if I'm there and if someone's got a problem, I'm quite happy to speak to people in confidence. And I make no secret of the fact that I am a lawyer who works in criminal defence.
Today he has a trial in Bury, and he's meeting the client at Tucker's local office.
Nice tan. I know, I've just come back from Egypt.
I know, did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, we're all right.
Nigel Walker is charged with racially aggravated assault. He took a cab home one night in Rochdale. The police say he attacked the Asian taxi driver. Nigel says the taxi driver attacked him, and Nigel had been the one who'd called the police.
We'll say to him the reason he's not ringing the police is because he was the aggressor.
Yeah.
The court's going to say to you, well, you were drinking from 3 till about midnight, so that's quite a few hours that to be drinking.
We only had 8 pints through the day, we had our dinner.
And I take it 8 pints isn't a lot for you to drink?
Not really, not Carling.
Were you probably merry but not on your way?
No, I mean, it's impossible to get drunk off Carling.
Is it?
It is, yeah.
You said on the journey, the drivers talked about American foreign policy and didn't seem to be happy about you being drunk.
Yeah.
So was he going on about the way they interfere with other countries? And
I'm trying to have a conversation with my friend, and the taxi driver's interfering and trying to make conversation with me and my mate what was in the taxi.
What were you talking about?
Me and my friend. Just day-to-day things, what had gone on in town and that.
Now, you say he spat in your face, and did you tell the police that?
I can't remember.
Okay.
He did spit in my face, so I spat in his face.
You denied you were being racist throughout, because you don't really have any problems with people.
Not really. I might have been a bit racist when he cut my hand in the kitchen when the police officers turned up.
If they believe you, then you'll be acquitted.
Yeah.
If they don't believe you, then unfortunately they'll be convicted. That's how it works. It just works on who they believe on the day for these type of cases.
The trial is being held at Bury Magistrates Court. Nigel's fate hangs on whether Asim can undermine the witness for the prosecution.
The taxi driver was a young Asian chap. The way he put forward his account was thoroughly unconvincing. He went so far as to deny some of the things he'd admitted in his witness statement. And the key fact is, in his witness statement, he admitted to having a screwdriver and waving this at Mr. Walker. But in court, he denied he had anything in his hand at all.
With the main witness changing his story, Asim asks the magistrates to drop the case.
Well, Nigel.
Cheers.
That was a good result, hard earned. The court, obviously having heard what he had to say, and the police officers, they felt that they couldn't believe what he said. And he obviously tripped up about the knife, stroke screwdriver part. So, good result. Trust you won't get in trouble again.
No, I won't, no.
All right. So take care. You've got my number if you need anything.
Very happy how the case went. It's been hard. I've had a few arguments with my girlfriend because she wasn't sure whether I was telling the truth. I don't like going to courts, you know what I mean? It can be a bit intimidating because they try discrediting you and making you out to be the liar, which wasn't the case.
The Gary Cox case is Jonathan's last as a clerk on the magistrates' team. He's just qualified as a solicitor.
I think you're going to have a fantastic career, so all the best to you and congratulations.
He's due to hand over his notes on this case to trial lawyer Caroline Wilbraham. But Caroline can't find the notes, and she's an exacting colleague.
Just where are the instructions that he's taken? Where is everything? Why is it not on the file?
On the eve of Gary Cox's trial, the stress is showing.
Yeah, so if you had my Facebook, do the have you got these instructions?
Gary Cox is charged with harassing a younger man he's already sexually assaulted, and Caroline rates the prospects for him as pretty bleak.
He says that he didn't follow them and they wouldn't have been able to see him from where they say they are. So there are questions that I can put to the witnesses, but it all depends on magistrates, but I think the magistrates will find him guilty.
It's the morning of Gary Cox's trial. Caroline's finally got the papers as she wanted them and makes her way to court. Her client is less breezy.
Just trying to keep it together, basically.
But Gary's trial doesn't happen because there aren't any witnesses.
Unfortunately, the Crown Prosecution Service hadn't prepared their file properly and they hadn't warned their witnesses to attend.
The prosecution want to adjourn the trial to allow the alleged victim to give evidence. But Caroline stops that using a legal manoeuvre.
There's a new initiative at the moment that's been implemented from January called Stop Delaying Justice, which essentially means that all cases should go ahead at the first available opportunity. The magistrates agreed that there was not a good and compelling reason to adjourn the case on this occasion, so unfortunately for the prosecution service, the magistrates ordered that the trial go ahead today, in which case, because the prosecution witnesses weren't here, there's no evidence that the Crown can offer in respect of the charge, and so the charge has been dismissed.
Something at last has gone right in my case, so for it finally to get dismissed was very good news and a huge relief for the family as well.
I can fully understand that with the case being dropped, the alleged victims may feel a little aggrieved at that. You know, at the end of the day, they've made a complaint about somebody for something that they believe has taken place, and it's been dropped. You know, if somebody is guilty, it's not up to me to prove that. It's up to the prosecution to prepare their case, and if the client is guilty, they should be able to prove that through the evidence.
The media are out in force on the opening day of the Colleen Rooney blackmail trial. Ian Johnston has heard nothing from his client. He's not even sure Stephen Malcolm will show up.
I'm hoping that the court will open reasonably early so that I can get in and get changed in court. Hiya.
What have you done?
I've bust my knee. So, where have you been hiding? Because we've written to you and tried ringing you and such like to get you in to go through it all.
Yeah, but I feel, see these here?
Yeah.
I feel that there's nothing to discuss, because on the last visit, you're telling me virtually to plead guilty. So why should I come into your office to discuss things? You tell me that.
Because I can tell you what the sort of questions that the prosecution are going to try and put to you to try and...
If I plead not guilty.
Yeah.
Right. But you're coming across on the last visit. This is what I'm trying to say to you. To plead guilty. So why should I come in and see you? All right.
Because what I said to you last time, Stephen, was you're sitting on a very fine line.
Yeah, of course I am.
You're sitting on a very fine line, and it's all boils down to really your knowledge of what the prosecution could show. The prosecution could show, obviously, that you were instrumental in the drop and that you had telephone contact with the undercover officer the night before. And really, that's their case, that you're associated with Platt, that you were doing his running for him, and that you knew what it was about.
Right. Hurry up, because I'm losing my patience with these. So hurry up, and we'll go in court, because these
yeah, well, I didn't see them standing there. So, just waiting for Lisa to turn up.
The trial gets underway. And on day one, at least, Stephen Malcolm's feeling confident.
I feel good at the minute, because I knew from the start I was pleading not guilty. And at the minute, I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah. So I'm just going for a beer. I need a beer.
On day 2 of the trial, Stephen's opting for a suit. By pleading not guilty, he's hoping to avoid prison altogether. But he's been warned that if he's convicted, he'll pay for it with a longer sentence. He insists his family makes the gamble worthwhile.
My oldest daughter, Joanne, I only got in contact with her three years and a few months. And I've got a bond with Joanne. When she turns up, I always make sure that the heating's on, there's food in the cupboard, the duvet's always changed, nice and fresh for her. I get on here. So in the morning, it's hectic because she's using the shower and I'm like knocking on the door, are you finished? No, right, all right. It's just like a dad thing that I've missed for so many years. And I don't want to lose that.
It's day 3 of the trial. Stephen's about to give evidence, and he's given up on the suit.
I'm thinking to myself, hang on a minute, the jury take me as I am, and the circumstances surrounding this case. So I shouldn't have to go, I shouldn't have to come here to make an impression and put a tie on. After today, as soon as I've been questioned, it all gets a little bit easier.
Up to this point, Stephen Malcolm's line has been that he didn't realise what he was involved in was wrong or illegal. On the stand, he changes his tune.
What he in fact said was he did realise it was wrong and he realised it was illegal. At that point, the prosecutor said, in that case, Mr. Malcolm, why are we all here?
It's quite sad, really, watching him being cross-examined in the way that he was, and he was clearly struggling with his answers. I think she ran rings around him, but I think a lot of it as well with him was not necessarily sure he really understood what was going on. It was as though he was lost.
His lawyers tell Stephen he's left with no option but to change his plea to guilty. The judge accepts Stephen's plea and says he'll sentence him after Christmas.
I feel a bit shit at the minute, so I'm going to go home. So, what more can I say? So, see you in January.
I feel completely deflated. And if I was going to say anything about it, and I don't pass comment very often, that's why we have pre-trial conferences. They are our clients and we do what they instruct us to do. If they don't want to follow advice, that's for them.
How are you? No, that can't.
Vera Kennedy, the oldest drug dealer in town, turns up at the office for a meeting with Franklin.
Hi, good afternoon. And how are you, my love? Good afternoon, Terence.
They need to work out how she's going to plead when she appears in court the following week.
So Lisa's here as well because, of course, Lisa did your last case and did a very good job, as she always does. She's brilliant.
The situation is complicated because Vera admitted to the offence at the police station.
When we last discussed the case, you were telling us that, in reality, the drugs that were found up in the loft were not yours, although you actually admitted to them at the police station, didn't you?
Yeah.
But in fact, you said at the police station that you could get into the loft. Can you get into the loft? Is it, and Terry, impossible for her?
It's impossible.
Absolutely impossible.
Yeah.
And if we have to...
Never been in it, ever.
Never been in it.
Not being funny, but she won't fit.
He's very flattering, isn't he? He's very flattering. He knows how to flatter a woman.
It's only a small gap, I won't get
Right.
through it.
Did you know they were there or not? Right, so you didn't know they were there, and your fingerprints won't be on them, will they? Absolutely not.
No.
Okay. Can you explain the position with regard to those drugs that were found around the house, the freezer, the living room, etc.?
It's just what we all have. We all have amphetamine, all of us, all my lot.
You take it,
Yeah.
and to help pay for that, and also to help pay for a debt, I'm right in saying that whilst Terry's been in prison, have you been selling it as well?
Yeah.
Right, OK. So, because of that, Vera's going to have to enter a guilty plea to the possession of drugs with intent to supply, OK?
Vera is already on a suspended prison sentence, so if she pleads guilty, it means she'll almost certainly go to jail.
I'm anxious to avoid a contested, any kind of hearing. I think that Vera is she's such a nice lady. She'll agree with the nice prosecution barrister, and he'll go, isn't it this? And, he'll put a lot of pressure on her, and he'll scare her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if we keep you out, that will be an amazing result.
Vera Kennedy pleads guilty to supplying drugs. Her daughter pleads guilty to possession. They are both currently awaiting sentence.
It's been suggested that we profit from our clients' bad behaviour. Obviously, in very simple terms, we do. But firstly, let me point out that we are a business, and if we don't make any profit, we won't survive, and there won't be any criminal law firms defending anybody. And as a senior judge recently said, nobody else protects the vulnerable as well as criminal lawyers do.
It's sentencing day in the Colleen Rooney blackmail trial. Stephen Malcolm's brief is waiting for him at court. Stephen Malcolm, however, is on the other side of town, in the pub with his mates.
I just hope the judge, has a heart. Do you know what I mean? Has a heart. Go to jail, all right, your privileges are all gone. You can't, open your front door, you can't open the window, you can't go to the shop, you can't have sex with somebody, you can't even spend your money. But it's not gonna change me, okay? The only person that's gonna change me is my mother. When I come out, and I go to my mum's, and mum says, son, don't do this again, because it'll break my heart, this and that. Whatever she says, not the judge, whatever my mum says goes, not the judge.
All you gotta do is treat it like an holiday. Treat it like an holiday. You'll be alright.
His daughter Joanne has come along to support him.
We come back into contact last year, 2011, April.
I'm gonna miss you.
Get over there! April, I was going to London, and I know this is local, so as I was in the taxi, I was getting on the coach, National Express around the corner, and I had 45 minutes to get on my coach to go to London because I had an endo on the Saturday. So I seen his little ginger bald head out here, and I thought, right, get on to you. What have you been doing, you naughty boy? So he said, oh, it's a long story. I said, right, I'm back from London on Sunday. You tell me what the script is, exactly what you've done, and then we'll go from there. And then this is why I'm sat here today. So all you can do, it's family, you know what I mean? No matter what you've done, what you've caused, blood's thicker than water, so what more can I do?
You'll be alright, Dad.
Yeah, of course it will. Of course it will.
Mr. Malcolm.
Come on now.
Just what did you say anything, Paul?
Listen, there's no need for that. We've already spoke to the bleeding TV people. There's no need. I'm his daughter. There's no need.
The judge describes Stephen Malcolm as a willing accomplice and sentences him to 20 months in jail. That's just 4 months less than the main blackmailer, Malcolm's boss.
I think the sentence was too high. The distinction between them of 4 months was, on the face of it, not enough. Perhaps he should have kept his appointments when he had them. For some bizarre reason, some people seem to think they know better than I do as to the correct way to proceed with things. And obviously, in Mr. Malcolm's case, he didn't know the correct way to proceed with things.